Yeah, hi, good afternoon. Thanks for joining me. The reason that I wanted to put this video together was to give you young goalkeepers an idea of the sort of equipment that you should be taking to your practice sessions, to your games, so that you get an understanding of why it's important to turn up with more than just one pair of gloves or one pair of boots. So I'm just going to go through what's on the table so that you have an awareness, and then I'll talk about it a little bit more in detail. So the first item I've got here is my shin guards. Whenever you buy shin guards, make sure you're getting the right size. So on the label here on the top left hand corner, this says large, and these shin guards are designed for someone between 5'10" and 6'1". I'm 6 foot, so these are perfect for me. I also have 2 pairs of socks, one light pair, one dark pair. 3 pairs of gloves, and I'll talk about these a little bit more in a minute. 2 shirts that are extra to the one that I will wear to the game, or that I will have for my practice or my game day shirt. Water bottle, usually I'll take at least 2 of these, one of which will have just regular plain water in it, and the other one will have energy drink like a Gatorade or something like that. 3 pairs of boots, I'll talk about these again in a second. Muscle rub to keep my muscles warm. Sock tape. Finger tape. In addition to what you see on the table, I'll also have a ball pump with an adapter in it, and I'll have for match days I'll have a match ready soccer ball, and for practices I usually take a bag of balls. So now that I've explained some of that to you, let me go through and talk to you about what the individual things that are on the table and why they're here. The shin guards go without saying. Obviously, as a goalkeeper playing the sport, shin guards are something that's required as part of your kit, so they have to be in my bag. Again, I use the ones that are suitable for my height. There are different types of shin guard, and you're going to want to experiment with them. Some have the ankle protectors in them, some don't. I prefer the ones without the ankle protectors, but again, try them and see what you think and which ones work best for you. So they go in the bag. The 2 extra pairs of socks. So whenever you play, the referee may well ask you to change your socks. This has happened to me in the past. If you're wearing the same colour or a different or slightly close colour to the opposite team, the referee may well ask you to change. In addition, if you're playing in wet weather, if you play in Washington or you play in Oregon or you play in the UK, where I come from, it was always advisable to have extra socks, simply because your feet are going to get wet. And this gives you an opportunity to change them at half time and put on some clean, dry socks. So I always carry at least 2 extra pairs of socks plus the pair that I will wear for the game. Water bottle, pretty self-explanatory. These ones hold 32 ounces. So I take 32 ounces of water, 32 ounces of Gatorade or electrolyte water, something like that. The plain water I use on my gloves. So what I will do is I'll make sure that the gloves are wet or at least damp during the course of the game. Here in Idaho we play in very different conditions. Sometimes it can be wet, sometimes it's very dry. As we get towards the end of the spring season and the beginning of the fall season, the temperatures can be quite hot. So I like to have plenty of water available so that I can keep my gloves nice and moist. That's that. 2 changes of shirt. Again, similar to the socks. I will wear one shirt to the game, and depending on what colour the opposition are playing in, and even the referee's colour will dictate whether or not I have to change shirt. So I'll make sure I've got three different colour shirts available for each game. And again, if I'm playing in inclement weather, I will change the shirt at half time so that I can get a dry, clean shirt on. What I will wear under this will be a base layer, short sleeve base layer. So that will either be a summer base layer to take the moisture away from my body, or it'll be a warm base layer when it's cold to obviously keep me warm. Okay, so 2 extra shirts. Sock tape. Clearly I need to use sock tape to hold my socks up with the shin guards in place. I don't want to be fiddling with my socks during a game, so I make sure I've got plenty of sock tape so that I can tie those socks up nice and firm and that way they're not going to move during the game when I make saves. Also, you want to make sure it's not too tight that it means that your circulation is cut off. So there's a happy medium between tight enough to hold them in place and too tight where they're uncomfortable. Again, experiment with it, see where you find the right level. The finger tape. So the finger tape is really interesting, and when I was a young goalkeeper, pretty much before the advent of finger savers in gloves, in the earlier days of goalkeeper glove technology, they didn't really have anything for protecting your fingers. When I was younger, I broke my finger playing in goal because I wasn't protecting my fingers. So I will always carry now some finger tape just in case I'm playing with a pair of gloves that don't have the finger savers in them. So we'll talk about the gloves now. So I've got 3 different pairs of gloves here. This pair here is the pair that I'm currently wearing. They're all 3 of these are all weather gloves. And I'm going to do another video which tells you about the different types of glove depending on what conditions you play in. But these are all weather glove, and as you can see there's no finger savers in these. So if I'm wearing these for practices or match days, I'll make sure I take my fingers up so that my fingers don't get damaged. I've already broken a finger, as I say, I don't want to break another one. So this is the warm-up pair that I would use pre-match, and depending on how they feel during the pre-match conditions, I may wear these during the game, I may not. Either way, they will be the ones that I would use to warm up. Next, I've got 2 new pairs. Now what would usually happen is with the 2 new pairs, I would make sure I wash these on a cold setting, very small amount of detergent, and then dry them naturally. So I'll just hang dry them on a coat hanger in my laundry room, and just make sure that they're nice and dry before I wear them. And the reason I do that is because the latex needs to be activated. When it comes in its raw form, it's a little bit too slick. And sometimes you will have gloves, I don't know if either of these pairs have them, but they'll have plastic film on the front of them. No, those ones don't. Perhaps these ones do. So we'll just take out our J4K Pure Performance Elite gloves. We'll have a look. No, so they don't either. So what you would find is on the palms here, they would be wrapped in plastic. So you would need to remove all of that plastic before you could wear these gloves. In addition to these gloves, these do have the finger savers in them. So again, if I'm playing in a game, I will either decide whether I'm going to keep those in or whether I'm going to wrap my fingers. A lot of it will depend on the fit of the glove. So if the glove is really tight and it's a close fit, I will take those out and I will wrap my fingers instead. Just because I want to obviously make sure that my hands are comfortable when I'm playing. So that's the gloves. Oh, and the reason I take 3 pairs, the first pair could fail if I get a hole in these or they split. Then they're useless, I'd have to change them. And the reason I have a backup to the backup is, again, if I'm playing in inclement weather, if my fingers get cold and my hands get cold because my gloves have got really wet, I want to be able to change those and get warm, dry gloves on. Again, you can get different types of gloves that are perfectly suited for wet weather. They're called aqua gloves. Or you can get gloves that are specifically designed for cold weather. They'll usually be called something like Sub-Zero or something like that. But you know, do your own research, find the gloves that are best suited for your conditions. Whatever you play the most in, find those gloves. I have about 6-7 different types of glove, just because of the different types of environments that I have played in the past. I remember when I was living in Vancouver, British Columbia, I played a game on artificial turf at -5 degrees. Extremely cold, but because I had the Sub-Zero gloves on, my hands weren't cold, so they were great. Okay, so that's the gloves. Okay, next I'm going to talk about the boots. So I usually take at least 3 different types of boots. And the reason for this is, again, because of the game conditions. We play on grass here, but if you play on turf fields or you play in areas where the fields can get really wet or they get really dry, you want to have a choice of stud available to you so that you can change your footwear depending on the surface. As a goalkeeper, the last thing you want to be doing is sliding around, slipping and losing your footing. So it's really important that during your warm-up you figure out which pair of cleats or boots, whatever you want to call them, is going to be best for you. I've got 3 pairs of Adidas boots here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn them over so that you can see the difference. So we've got the F50 here, which are a little bit older, and these have a triangular shaped stud configuration. These boots are specifically designed for hard ground. We've got the 11 Pro Adidas boot here, and this boot, you can see, has a triangle configuration again, but the studs are much smaller. In addition to being smaller, they're actually lower profile as well. This boot is specifically designed for artificial turf fields. Extremely useful if you're playing on artificial turf to find a stud configuration that mirrors the length of the turf that you play on. You can also get turf cleats, which are more like indoor soccer shoes that don't have the cleat configuration. I personally prefer the cleat configuration on my boots, but again, it's entirely up to you. And then the last one we've got here is the Copa, and again you'll see this one has a round configuration. This one is also designed for farm ground, but this is more designed for grass. Yeah, as I say, this one's more designed for grass with the round stud. The stud profile on this one is a little bit longer. So those are the 3 that I will usually take. There is a 4th one that I will take, but I only use that when I know the conditions are seriously wet. The ground is very soft, and they have the traditional 6 stud configuration, and they're designed specifically for soft ground. They're not easy to get in North America. I'm not sure why. But they're readily available in the UK. So if you play in places where the grass and the ground is usually very soft, please check those out. They're extremely useful in those conditions. Okay, so that's the boots. And the last piece of equipment I will have is a deep heat rub. So a deep heat rub or a icy hot, something like that, I will apply to either my lower back or my legs, and that's basically just to make sure that the blood is flowing through the muscles and I'm ready to play. I don't apply it all of the time, and it does depend on the weather conditions, if it's particularly cold or if I've been travelling and I haven't had an opportunity to do a really thorough warm-up, I may apply this. But I keep it with me anyway, just in case, because again, you never know. Okay guys, that's what I keep in my kit bag. By all means, send me a message, tell me what you keep in yours. But if you're not keeping 3 pairs of boots, 3 pairs of gloves, extra shirts, extra socks, you're probably not properly prepared for whatever weather conditions are going to come your way. Thanks for watching, and good luck out there.